Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 335 based on novel. So let's start. At this moment, at the spatial crack battlefield next to the demon sect, as the surrounding cultivators retreated, the roars from the fierce beasts became even more violent. The entire star field trembled as an even more powerful aura erupted from the spatial crack. This aura was so strong that it immediately suppressed the roars of the surrounding beasts. A dragon-shaped fierce beast slowly came out of the spatial crack as the fierce beasts retreated. It was a completely black dragon. However, it was still different from a real dragon. This dragon was covered in scales and had two hideous horns. They weren't straight but bent. Its body was tens of thousands of feet long, and after it appeared, it gave off a powerful pressure. Its dragon eyes was filled with killing intent as it looked at the surrounding cultivators. Eventually, its gaze moved to the three people surrounded by blue mist. After it saw those three people, the dragon let out a heaven-shaking roar. This roar was filled with madness, monstrous rage, and bloodthirst. It recognized the blue mist. In its memory, the people surrounded by blue mist were their mortal enemies that prevented them from charging out of the spatial crack. It's unexpectedly a young dragon from the Nine Abyss. This dragon can no longer be considered a fierce beast. Although it is rank 12, it can display power equal to a rank 13 king beast that can't take human form. It is indeed a dragon from the Nine Abyss. This kind of beast hasn't appeared for a long time. Elder once said that these kinds of groups far surpass the beasts that can turn human. Legend has it that it was one of the 6 beast companions that belonged to Ji Cheong. This matter is important, we must report it to the elders. The three people inside the blue mist sent thoughts to each other. One of them took out a jade and crushed it. It immediately sent out a message. Just as this message was sent out, the Nine Abyss dragon roared and black gas came out of the crack on its body. The black mist turned into black skulls that could penetrate the soul. They scattered in all directions and charged out of the spatial crack. Thunderous rumbles came from the spatial crack as if it was trembling and was unable to bear the force. The endless black skulls charged out of the spatial crack and pounced at the surrounding cultivators. The fierce beasts from the crack followed after the black skulls, launching a shocking attack. However, the Nine Abyss dragon didn't rush out but remained inside the spatial crack, coldly looking outside with a murderous gaze. The thousands of cultivators outside the spatial crack had all been fighting for hundreds of years and had strong mental strength. However, even they were shaking right now. But once they were here, they weren't allowed to retreat and had to fight. When they black skulls closed in, the cultivators began a life and death battle. The 6 geniuses charged out for the Nine Abyss dragon inside the spatial crack. If the 6 of us work together to kill this dragon, we can become members of the demon sect, one of the middle-aged men among the 6 shouted. His hands formed a seal, his body was surrounded by a purple light, and his aura increased. The remaining 5 people all used their strongest spells. The beautiful middle-aged woman's hair instantly became white. Her white hair swept and formed a white hairstorm before her. It carried a shocking power as it charged at the Nine Abyss dragon. There was also that old man with the highest cultivation level. He waved his right hand and countless golden cores appeared around him. This was similar to the golden cores cultivators had but also very different. This was a spell the old man had created himself with his great wisdom. These golden cores were formed by origin energy, and their collapse could be exchanged for even stronger power. In a flash, almost 10,000 golden cores appeared around him. There was also that cold woman. She bit the tip of her tongue and spat blood onto the thin sword in her hand. The sword gave off a dazzling glow and melted to form a golden river. The river surrounded her and gave off a destructive aura. It then charged out with her. The 6 most powerful cultivators among the thousands of cultivators all attacked at the same time and began a battle against the Nine Abyss dragon. The surrounding cultivators all screamed miserably. The black skulls were too strange, as no spells or magical treasures had any effect on them. They directly penetrated into the cultivators' bodies, and as soon as they entered, they would explode. The destructive force would cause the cultivators' bodies to explode and their origin souls to dissipate. In addition to the fierce beasts charging out from the spatial crack, it was a moment of crisis. The 6 powerful cultivators had closed in on the 9 Abyss Dragon and were launching their attack. However, as their spells closed in and they got close, the 9 Abyss Dragon opened its mouth to spit out a mouthful of black mist. The moment the black mist was spat out, it formed a black skull 10,000 feet large. The skull shot at the 6 of them. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Out of the 4 men, only the old man didn't cough out blood. Their faces became pale and they were pushed back. Large amounts of milky white aura came out of their orifices and was devoured by the skull. It was their vitality. Blood came out of the corner of the old man's mouth and he treated. His eyes became cold as his hand moved and he shouted, 10,000 golden cores, explode. With that, the 10,000 golden cores collapsed, creating a destructive power that landed on the giant skull. As for the 2 women, the white hairstorm of the middle-aged woman collapsed. She coughed out blood and was forced to retreat. A large amount of her vitality was absorbed as she retreated. As for the indifferent woman, her face was pale and her right hand was bleeding. The golden river around her seemed to be flowing slower as well. However, she clenched her teeth and pointed forward. The golden river around her exploded into countless golden raindrops that fell on the skull. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the giant skull paused for a moment. Using this chance, the old man and indifferent woman quickly retreated after using their spells. The old man had prestige among the thousands of cultivators. As he retreated, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and immediately shouted, "There are too many enemy beasts. First, activate the sacrifice formation to kill them." After he shouted, the surrounding cultivators all retreated and their hands formed a seal. Formation light starting coming from their bodies. We offer life for the demon sect formation. Thousands of people sacrificed their vitality at the same time. The unified shout from the thousands of cultivators created a powerful pressure. As their voices echoed, a ghostly light came from the spatial crack. There was a thunderous rumble and then the spatial crack became like a large mouth and suddenly close. Some fierce beasts weren't able to dodge quick enough and their bodies exploded. Even the 9 Abyss Dragon had to quickly withdraw its head to prevent itself from being chopped in half. When the old man saw this, he let out a sigh. He originally wanted to lure the 9 Abyss Dragon out halfway before using the formation to kill it. However, the 6 of them weren't strong enough to lure the 9 Abyss Dragon out. If Li Qianmai was here, with her strength and magic treasures, perhaps she'd be able to break the skull and make the 9 Abyss Dragon come out. The old man sighed and put those thoughts out of his mind. Taking advantage of the short moment when the spatial crack was closed, he waved his right hand. Countless golden cores appeared and charged at the skull. The indifferent woman was the same as him. These cultivators had worked together for many years and had a good understanding of each other. The other 4 didn't attack the big skull but spread out to attack those small skulls and isolated beasts. The demon sect cultivators shrouded in blue mist floated there motionlessly as they watched the battle, watched the death of beasts and cultivators. Some of the skulls and beasts charged at them, but the moment they touched the blue mist, they died miserably. This place is a battlefield, and the weak won't survive. If you want to live, make yourself stronger and break through, then you must walk the line of life and death over and over. Back in the day, the 3 of us did the same. Of course the 9 Abyss Dragon is very strong. After the formation has been used up, the 3 of us will deal with the 9 Abyss Dragon. 2 voices came out of the 3 people inside the blue mist. The closed crack began to tremble after a moment. After being closed for a brief moment, it gradually opened. The roar of the 9 Abyss Dragon echoed from within. The old man and the indifferent woman were fighting with the huge skull. They had trapped it and were about to destroy it. The 3 people inside the blue mist stared at the spatial crack slowly opening and were about to step forward. However, their expressions changed greatly and they suddenly looked into the distance. An indescribable roar came from the distance. This roar was heaven-shaking and contained a powerful aura. Not only did it attract the 3 people from the demon sect, but also the attention of the cultivators on the battlefield. Even the beasts outside couldn't help but tremble, and their eyes became filled with fear. They stopped attacking and began to retreat back into the spatial crack. Even the skulls all trembled and let out screams as if they had sensed an aura that terrified them. They quickly retreated. Even the eyes of the giant skull fighting the old man and indifferent woman released a ghostly fire filled with fear. It began to struggle violently in an attempt to retreat. This sudden change shocked the cultivators here, and they all looked toward the distance, where the roar was coming from. They saw a shocking, red light in the direction. There were two people inside the red light closing in at a shocking speed. The person was wearing white and had white hair. He had a gloomy expression, but his powerful cultivation caused space itself to distort. Behind him was an old woman in white. The demon sect had 6 cultivation planets. These 6 planets formed a simple circle. The circle was simple but gave off a shocking aura. This was a formation, a huge formation composed of 6 cultivation planets. This formation was powerful enough to destroy the world. It was placed by the demon sect's sect master as the last line of defense against the fierce beast. The demon sect had 6 different divisions, and each was stationed on a different planet. There were several elders managing each division, and they rarely interacted with each other. They often worked alone. This phenomenon was set by the first and only demon sect's sect master and had continued until now. There were 6 identical stone statues, one on each of the 6 cultivation planet. It was a middle-aged man with fluttering clothes with a cloud under his feet. There were 9 eyes in the sky that seemed to be looking at the earth. This middle-aged man looked at the sky. He seemed to be gazing at the 9 eyes. Behind the middle-aged man was a towering tree. It was so big that it seemed not even the heavens could stop it from growing. Every person in the demon sect knew that the middle-aged man was the demon sect's first sect master and the last. The giant tree was the demon sect's sect master's life treasure. Rumor had it that the demon sect's sect master was very strong and heaven-shaking. Rumor had it that the spatial crack was even larger before and that even more fierce beasts used to come through, including king beasts, emperor beasts, and even the legendary beasts that could take human shape. However, they were all destroyed by the demon sect's sect master, and the spatial crack was almost sealed. However, the moment he was sealing it, an accident happened. It seemed like someone inside had used an unimaginable spell to stop the demon sect's sect master from completing the seal. However, even so, the seal still played a role. The spatial crack shrank a lot, and thanks to the effect of the seal, not too many powerful beasts could charge out. As for the 9 eyes in the sky, ordinary demon sect disciples would know about them. Only the elders of the sect knew that those 9 eyes represented the ancient celestial realm. There were rumors among the elders stating that the reason the demon sect had split from the god sect was due to the order from the first-generation sect master. He had ordered a group of the god sect to be stationed here for generations and guard this place, to not allow a single beast come out of the spatial crack alive. Rumor had it that the god sect's sect master was the same person as the demon sect's sect master. It was said that he was from the ancient celestial realm. It was said that he had disappeared a long time ago, and whether he was dead or alive was unknown. The god sect was currently being controlled by one of his slaves on his behalf. This was why the demon sect didn't listen to the god sect's orders and had methods to deal with the god sect. Of course, all of this was rumor. The real history had disappeared into the river of time, and very few knew the real truth. Right now, a monstrous, red light shined outside the spatial crack. After rushing over without stopping, Wang Lin and the old woman in white had finally arrived. Along the way, Wang Lin had used an almost insane speed, rushing over from the rank 2 region using only a few days of time. Old Lady White. It's her. Old Lady White left half a month ago on the order of the demon sect to do something for Li Qianmai. Who is the person before her? I can't see through his person's cultivation, but I feel myself trembling before him. He is too powerful. I don't know which sect he is an elder for, but why is he here? This person is too powerful and too strange. Even the fierce beasts retreated in terror. Even those black skulls began to panic when they sensed this person. The old man among the 6 geniuses looked at Wang Lin with shock in his eyes. Could he be the reason that Li Qianmai is being punished by the demon sect and was sent into the depths of the spatial crack? The indifferent woman looked at Wang Lin, but her mind trembled. Her gaze and divine sense silently dissipated when they got close to Wang Lin. The three people surrounded by blue mist became wary and stared at Wang Lin. Their expressions hidden by the blue mist changed. One of the voices came out of the blue mist. "Old Lady White, who is he?" The old woman in white was about to speak when Wang Lin charged out toward the spatial crack that was slowly opening. As he closed in, the skulls and fierce beasts that were trying to retreat back into the spatial crack let out terrified screams. Noisy. Wang Lin was so fast that he closed in an instant. He casually waved his hand and a storm swept by. The storm contained thunder, and as it swept by, the fierce beasts all collapsed and died. All of this was extremely easy for Wang Lin. He was worried about Li Qianmei's current state, and the screams of these beasts irritated him. With a wave of his hand, all the fierce beasts outside the crack turned into piles of blood and flesh. Even the 9 abyss dragon inside the spatial crack couldn't help but stop roaring. As for the skulls formed by the black mist, they all trembled as if they had encountered their natural enemy. They looked at Wang Lin with indescribable fear in their eyes. Wang Lin stood outside the crack and looked at the trembling skulls. His eyes gave off a strong light. The devils from the netherworld. Early in his life, he became a soul devourer in the foreign battlefield on planet Suzaku and devoured a large amount of devils. At this moment, he found the aura of a devil on these skulls. There weren't many devils here, but still quite a few. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he opened his mouth and inhaled. A giant vortex seemed to appear before him. The skulls trembled and didn't dare to resist. They collapsed one by one and turned into black gas that entered Wang Lin's mouth. Even the largest skull trembled and collapsed. It became a large mass of black gas that was inhaled by Wang Lin. He had caused all the beasts here to collapse and then inhaled all the black skulls. Such power and spells shocked everyone here aside from the old woman. The 6 geniuses among the thousands of cultivators were all shocked and their pupils shrank. There was also the 3 people from the demon sect. They were shocked and began discussing Wang Lin's strength. His at least the first heaven's blight, but why does he not have the halo? Perhaps he has some spell to hide the halo. This person can't be a no-name, but why did he come with Old Lady White? I remember Old Lady White went to take Li Qianmei's life soul somewhere. Could it be that this person has something to do with Li Qianmei's life soul? The 3 of them passed messages to each other and were on guard. Only the old woman in white was numb to all of them. She had seen everything Wang Lin had done along the way, and even 6 high elders of the everlasting sect were too scared to stop him. 2 of them had even lost their bodies. Right now Wang Lin had only killed some fierce beasts. It wasn't much to her. Everyone's gazes were gathered on Wang Lin, but he didn't care at all. His time was short, and after absorbing the skulls, he looked at the slowly opening spatial crack. He could clearly feel a powerful aura within. This aura was hesitating and seemed to be waiting for something. Li Qianmei entered here. Wang Lin turned around and looked at the old woman in white. His voice was calm, like the silence before a volcano erupted. "This is the place," the old woman in white immediately responded after Wang Lin looked at her. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. He didn't have time to wait for this spatial crack to slowly open. His hands reached out and his eyes shined brightly. A crazy aura erupted from his body, and with a roar, he tore the spatial crack open. He was going rip open the slowly opening spatial crack. "Fellow cultivator, stop. There is a 9 abyss dragon inside, and it is extremely powerful. Once it comes out, there will be many deaths. I hope fellow cultivator can wait until we set up a formation before opening it." The person who spoke was one of the demon sect members inside the blue mist. The 3 of them charged out toward the spatial crack. Wang Lin turned a deaf ear as he let out a roar and tore it. Thunderous rumbles and cracking sounds echoed. The spatial crack was torn open by him. The moment the spatial crack was ripped open, the 9 abyss dragon let out a roar. It instantly closed in and tried to devour Wang Lin. Wang Lin was extremely close to the 9 abyss dragon. The dragon's eyes revealed a look of madness as a large amount of black mist came out from between its scales. Even more black mist came from its mouth, and its large body was going to surround Wang Lin. "Damn beast, you dare to devour me." Wang Lin's eyes became cold, and he didn't even try to dodge. When the nine-abyss dragon closed in, he raised his palm and slammed forward. A thunderous rumble echoed with this palm. At this moment, endless origin energy gathered like crazy into Wang Lin's palm, creating a giant palm print, and collided with the nine-abyss dragon's face. The nine-abyss dragon let out a miserable scream as its body trembled. Popping sounds echoed as countless scales burst open and blood sprayed out while it quickly retreated. The madness in its eyes went cold and was replaced by fear. Not dead. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light, then he stepped into the spatial crack. He raised his right hand and slammed down once more on the two horns of the nine-abyss dragon. There was thunderous bang and the nine-abyss dragon roared miserably again. Its eyes were filled with fear and panic. The dragon still hadn't died after 2 spells. Wang Lin's body flickered and landed on the dragon's head. "Become my mount and I'll spare your life." Wang Lin was not familiar with the inside of the spatial crack. With this nine-abyss dragon around, it would be a lot more convenient. The nine-abyss dragon let out a roar. It had to submit. It felt a terrifying, chaotic aura inside Wang Lin that made it tremble. There were 3 reasons why submitted. The first reason stemmed from the memories it had inherited from ancient times. The power of the gods. The second reason was the tremble from its soul. It was as if Wang Lin's soul had the power to restrain and devour it. The third reason terrified him the most. It was also from his inherited memories. It was the aura of the Emperor of Beasts. The aura of Ji Qiong. In addition, the 2 palms from Wang Lin contained heaven-shaking power, so how could the nine-abyss dragon resist? It could only yield and become Wang Lin's mount. When Wang Lin used the 2 palms to subdue the nine-abyss dragon, everyone outside the spatial crack was shocked. Their eyes were filled with monstrous fear. This was even more shocking and unbelievable than when Wang Lin destroyed all those fierce beasts and skulls. Even the 3 demon sect members inside the blue mist were all shocked and filled with disbelief. Their hearts trembled, causing the blue mist around them to distort. The nine-abyss dragon was taken in by him as a mount. This matter. The 3 of us attacking together with the demon sect's secret spell can beat the nine-abyss dragon, but it would be impossible to make it yield, let alone make it our mount. What exactly is his identity to be able to do this? Although this nine-abyss dragon is not an adult, it is still one of Ji Qiong's 6 companion beasts. How could it be tamed just like this? The 3 of them were terrified and looked at Wang Lin with shock. If they were like this, then there was no need to talk about the rest. The cultivators outside the spatial crack were all dumbfounded. The 6 geniuses' origin souls trembled as they stared at Wang Lin standing on the head of the nine-abyss dragon inside the spatial crack. Wang Lin's figure was engraved into their heart. Wang Lin's white clothes and white hair made him look like an invincible, heaven-shaking battle god that everyone would worship. Li Qianmai must have done it for him. He must have come for Li Qianmai. Li Qianmai, I have secretly been competing with you for 100 years. I thought you would die after being sent into the spatial crack, but I didn't expect such a powerful person would come to save you. The indifferent woman let out a sigh. Wang Lin stood on the nine-abyss dragon and ignored the shock of all the cultivators outside. He was about to rush into the depths of the spatial crack to save Li Qianmai. However, at this moment, an extremely powerful aura erupted from one of the 6 demon sect planets. At the same time, a person closed in. This person was too fast. With one step, he teleported in this space that you couldn't teleport in. After taking one step, he took a second step. After the second step landed, he appeared next to the 3 people from the demon sect and took a third step. He was so fast that no one could follow him as he entered the spatial crack and appeared before Wang Lin. Fellow cultivator, don't be in such a rush. Let this old man see if you are qualified to enter the depths of the spatial crack. As the person closed in, a gentle voice echoed, shaking the inside and outside of the spatial crack. As this person closed in, their right hand and pressed down on Wang Lin, who was on top of the nine-abyss dragon's head. Wang Lin's expression was neutral. The moment the palm arrived, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pushed forward. The power from the two palms collided in the air. Endless origin energy gathered like crazy. A destructive aura that could destroy space itself spread out between their two palms. An indescribable shock appeared and spread out like crazy. It was as if a powerful storm had swept by the surrounding cultivators, forcing them to retreat. Even the 6 geniuses turned pale and were forced to retreat. Only the 3 people of the demon sect were able to remain still before the shockwave. They stared into the spatial crack with solemn expressions. Wang Lin let out a muffled groan and popping sounds echoed inside his body. He was thrown back several dozen feet along with the 9 abyss dragon. The figure that closed in with 3 steps also let out a muffled groan, but instead of retreating, the figure took another step. "You're courting death." Wang Lin's eyes shined and he jumped off the 9 abyss dragon toward the figure. When he got close, his right hand formed a fist and the ancient god stars between his eyebrows appeared. A large amount of ancient god energy erupted and entered his fist. There was a thunderous bang, and the person paused for a moment and was pushed back. Wang Lin looked gloomy as he chased. He waved his hand and a drop of blood flew out from between his eyebrows, turning into a blood-red sword. Holding the blood sword, Wang Lin mercilessly chopped down while chasing. The retreating figure's expression changed greatly when Wang Lin took out the blood sword. He spat out a tortoise shell to block before him. The moment the tortoise shell appeared, the blood sword chopped down and collided with the tortoise shell. A thunderous rumble echoed, but the tortoise shell wasn't able to stop the blood sword at all. When they collided, the blood light pierced into the person. The person's body staggered and blood came out of the corner of his mouth. He retreated once more, but then he fiercely waved his hand. Origin energy began to gather like crazy. His voice suddenly echoed. Earth, Emperor, Dipper, Celestial, Explosion, War Spirit Print. 5 runes suddenly appeared, and together they formed a giant palm print. This palm print was the War Spirit Print, the real War Spirit Print. The moment it appeared, the origin energy in the world rapidly condensed and instantly turned solid. It charged toward Wang Lin's forehead with unimaginably strong momentum. Wang Lin didn't retreat, and as he charged out, his eyes glowed red. The blood sword in his hand disappeared and fused with his body. At this moment, his body gave off a monstrous, red glow. His body became the blood sword. He was the blood sword. His right hand's 2 fingers were the tip of the sword that could pierce the heavens and earth. He pointed at the palm with these 2 fingers. The 10 million rays of sword energy surrounded him, forming a sword storm that collided with the palm print. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The heavens and earth trembled when the 10 million rays of sword energy collided with the palm print. The rays of sword energy collapsed and the palm paused for a moment. At this moment, Wang Lin's 2 fingers covered in red light stabbed into the center of the palm print. The palm print collapsed with a thunderous bang, and the oppressive origin energy scattered. The expression of the person changed once more, and he wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Wang Lin broke through the palm print and stepped forward. His 2 fingers pointed at the person's forehead. The figure shook and coughed out blood. He quickly retreated and left the spatial crack. There was a flash of cold light in Wang Lin's eyes as he chased the person out of the spatial crack. His left hand was pressed between his eyebrows as if he was going to rip something off. The figure's expression changed once more after seeing Wang Lin's left hand, and he quickly shouted, "Fellow cultivator, stop. Fellow cultivator, stop." This old man was reckless on this matter. He stopped before the 3 members of the demon sect and turned into a white-haired old man. He then clasped his hands at Wang Lin. Wang Lin stepped out of the crack, stared at the old man, and put down his left hand. The 3 demon sect members behind the old man respectfully said, "Greetings, elder." The old man nodded slightly and then looked at Wang Lin with shock in his eyes. Then he clasped his hands and said, "Fellow cultivator is extremely strong, and this old man is no match for you, especially against your blood sword." "That treasure." The elder shook his head and smiled bitterly. The shock and horror this treasure had brought him was indescribable. Wang Lin coldly stared at the old man. Without a word, he withdrew his gaze and charged back into the crack. The 9 abyss dragon inside had been scared out of its wits and didn't dare to escape. The old man looked at Wang Lin's back and said, "Fellow cultivator, it was this old man who was rude. I believe fellow cultivator came to save Li Qianmai. Li Qianmai was scouted by this old man to be accepted into the demon sect, and it was also this old man who allowed her to leave." Then he waved his right hand and a jade flew out toward Wang Lin. "This crack is very large. If you search randomly, it will be very difficult to find Li Qianmai. This jade contains a map, and I have marked her location. With fellow cultivator's speed, you might be able to catch up." Wang Lin stopped and caught the jade. After he scanned it with his divine sense, the coldness on his face softened. Then he turned toward the old man and said, "Go back and go into closed-door cultivation for 3 days. Don't use your Tao intent and focus your mind. In the last 5 hours of the 3rd day, your Tao intent will collapse. Bear with it, and if you can withstand it, there will be no harm." After Wang Lin finished speaking, he left the shocked old man and entered the spatial crack. He landed on the head of the 9 abyss dragon and charged into the depths of the spatial crack. The old man looked at where Wang Lin disappeared to, and his expression changed. He carefully checked his body and then his face gradually turned pale, becoming terrified. He saw that there was a mysterious change to his Tao intent. It was as if a foreign force had invaded and caused his Tao intent to gradually weaken. This is Tao spell. The old man's face was without blood, and he felt lucky. If not for his own good intention in gifting that jade, the other person wouldn't have told him about it. Even if he had noticed that his own Tao intent was damaged, he would have just gone into closed-door cultivation to heal. Then, on the last 5 hours on the 3rd day, he would be caught off guard. If he didn't die, he would be seriously injured from it. This person perhaps could really save Li Qianmai. Even with my 2nd Heaven's Blight cultivation, I'm not confident in winning against him, and I was secretly hurt by him. The most terrifying part is that he still has a seal on him. If he releases that seal, the old man's eyes became serious as he looked into the spatial crack. Then he turned around and returned to the cultivation planet. He immediately went into closed-door cultivation. This video will end here.